All right, guys, here we are. It's episode 2. And thank you guys for watching last week. It was not without some controversy, but let's get going. So I'm Ryan. This is Chris. You guys know who we are. But first and foremost, I want you guys to stop everything you're doing right now and click on that subscribe button down below so you guys can see when we post new videos. They're happening every week. This episode, Chris, as you know, we talked about it. It is going to be the No King's Move show.
No worries.
So we're going to not talk about the King's Move, anything related to that, after this short introduction. So if you got anything to say, let's get it out in the open right now. If not, Let's move forward.
Yes, sir.
You're good?
Yep.
Right on, man. So you were at an event last night. Is that what I'm hearing? You refereed or something like that?
No, it's a Vermont tournament, but it's like 45 minutes from where I live. I live just not far off the Vermont border. I try to support those tournaments, and it was just recently taken over, the specific Lamoille County Fair, which when I went to in between 05, 06, 07, this tournament would yield 300 to 400 entries. We're talking $5 entry, gets 20 to 25 people per class in 5 classes, 5 arms, right, 5 classes right, 5 classes left, give away trophies. It started fading over the years, and then Jay Bohannon and his family kind of took it over with Richard Gravel and started giving hoodies for first. Really nice trophies for overalls and trophies for all respective class winners. So I figured, for sure I'm going to support. And the numbers were pretty good. Good event, no injuries. It's an evening event, which I always love too. So yeah, it was good. I ended up winning the overalls right. Beat Sean Weber in the finals. He's from New York. I ran into this kid. He's been winning it 3-4 years in a row. Austin Dolan from northern Vermont, probably your size, 6'4", 6'5", 6'4", easily way over 300. And I stopped his hit. I just couldn't stop his side pressure surge. But great event, fun times, a lot of kids. Yes, I love county fair tournaments.
And you got something coming up today?
Yeah, so today I'm
and just for those that don't know, we're recording this on Saturday morning. Right. So this is a couple days before you guys will actually see it. So go on, Chris. Tell us about that.
Avi Bench out of Montreal has this league started. I think this will be his third or fourth event. This one is super match heavy. I think he's got 12 or 13 super matches, and it's pretty much the best from Quebec versus the best from Ontario. And I think even Jason Leving's coming from New Brunswick. He has a super match. So a lot of pro pullers should be good. And I'll just be reffing. So that proves to be fun as well.
Now, is this the one where Brandon Lemon is pulling?
Right. Louis-Philippe Jean, who you probably know or have at least heard of.
Now, what's the story with him? Like, I know him from Strongman years ago.
Right.
He was
slowly tried to he met up with a guy up in Set Hill, an arm wrestler from Quebec, and he started arm wrestling. I think he took to it. He came in big and talking and stuff, and I just ripped him. I said, this is a different sport. You have zero credibility and respect in this sport. Your old other sport and your accolades don't necessarily carry over. And so him and I got into it. I think after about 6-8 months of training, he went to provincials. He actually won provincials, not last year, but the year before, beating Alex Paquette. Huge man, huge guy, 400 pounds, 6'3", 6'4", huge hand. And in all reality, strong predisposition for arm wrestling. Good natural rotation, all that stuff. And then faded. And then I guess him and Brendan got into it, or Brendan called him out, or I don't know how that came to fruition. But I know Brandon's eating it up. The fact that this guy's so much bigger, and it's a really interesting matchup because this guy he beat Alex, so he's definitely someone to contend with. Definitely stronger than Brandon. Much bigger hand, taller, bigger, all that stuff. But I don't know how much table time and conditioning the big guy has, and Brandon could, the way Brandon, his tactics and blowing the guys up, his hand up in the setup, and Brandon is one of the better, more refined, craftier pullers in Canada. Even he's really, really good. Tons of stamina, tons of setup tactics, and I think he might lose match 1. If he loses the match, it'll be match 1, possibly match 2. But I see him, winning the 3, 4, 5 type thing.
So this is a 5-rounder?
It's a 5-rounder, yeah. They're all 5-rounders, I believe.
Okay. I think I'm going to disagree with you. Like, I don't know a ton about LPJ, but I know that he is he's coming along. I know he's training his ass off, and I've seen Brandon pull in the one super match I've seen him, and it looked like he blew up after match 1. So I don't know.
Versus who?
Versus CJ Twine.
Oh, was that the wall pre-card? That was
the pre-card, yeah. And it looked like he dominated match 1, and then CJ changed it up a little bit, and Brandon won the match. But it looked like he got a little bit lucky in match 2 with some of the calls, and he's a little bit lucky that it wasn't a 5-rounder, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It was a 3-rounder, so best out of 3. So I'm thinking that it would be foolish of me to just say I think that the strongman's going to beat the arm wrestler, but in this case, the strongman has a little bit of arm wrestling training and a little bit of accolades behind him. Not much, and not recently, but a guy that powerful, you can't really count him out if he knows how to apply the pressure in the right place. And if he took the match, he's probably going to be training a little bit for it, you would think.
He's a favorite.
Yeah.
Regardless of what anyone says, he's a favorite because he beat the guy who dusted. I mean, Paquette has never had he might have had a loss here or there when he pulled multiple classes and came back and pulled Brendan late. But fresh for fresh, he kills Brendan. Kills him. Louis Philippe Jean beat Paquette twice or once. He beat him at least once both arms, but he definitely beat him with Paquette's dominant arm, the right arm, and the arm that he's using today. So he's definitely favored. And if he can get what he wants and he can not play Brendan's games, he should win. He is definitely much stronger. And I'm talking hand and wrist too. He's stronger in every aspect possible. Luckily, in his case, the big guy's case, the ref, you cannot fuck around with. I don't allow. I know all the games that people play. Intentional slips don't count with me. Bailing to get straps doesn't work with me. Avi's mandate is a very fast-moving, quickly reffed, but very, very rigidly called tournament. So all that stuff doesn't work with me. False starts do not work with me. If I'm exceptional in one area of reffing, obviously, once the match, in one shot there could be 2 elbow fouls, or it could be a close pin. I could miss something in that case because in the last tournament I ref for him, I was the sole ref. I didn't have a downside ref, so there's more things I had to look at. But when it comes to false starting in off the ready go, I usually get it right on because that's all I look for in that 1/10 of a second. A lot of arm wrestlers are trying to. I just solely look for that, and then after that, it's to the elbows simultaneously. So there's a couple of super matches today where I know a couple of the guys are notorious false starters or incredibly quick guys, even if they're not intentionally trying to go too fast. Whether their timing's impeccable or not, they ride that fine line, which most great hitters do. You and Travis, great anticipation for the ready go, not just reaction, it's anticipation. But I'll be on that all day. So, but yeah, LBJ's favored. He's absolutely favored. I just think, part of me is maybe I have a bias. I don't know. You want to see the polished, more committed arm wrestler win against the guy who's kind of fading in or out, might be in, might be out. It is, half-assedly committed to the sport, but he is favored, and I hope he, if he does win and he continues to, or if he decides to fully commit, he can do amazing things. I mean, he's bigger than you. This is a crazy big guy with a very strong hand and wrist. So
interesting. That's
Yeah.
that's a dangerous.
No,
combo.
he's really, and when he beat Paquette, you can tell he knows he knows all the fundamental aspects, and so he's not a first timer. He's been the first time he was on a practice table. It probably was over a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago. So he's not a stranger to the sport, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I like it. Who else is pulling it? You said Jason Levine has a super match?
Yeah, against a Quebec native, Regis Poulain, who's a level 2, but fiery and progressing at an incredible rate. This is an insane match for him to take. Yeah, he's got to be like a 20-1 underdog. But whatever. Calling guys out that are much better is never a bad thing. So he'll I can't see him winning, but props for him for challenging or accepting. I don't think Jason offered the match. I think Avi wanted Jason to come, and I guess there wasn't a long list of people that wanted to pull Jason. Another very interesting match is Olivier LaRouche wins on Alan Ford, destroys me both arms. Has just whipped up on lightweights from Quebec to Ontario in the last 2-3 years. His commitment fades in and out, but he's such an insane talent that he's just fun to watch. And he's going against Brad Wade. Brad Wade might be my favorite lightweight of all time. I just love Brad Wade. Doesn't fuck around, doesn't cheat, doesn't try to evade, doesn't try to do no trickery. Good hand, good wrist, good stamina. Tells you what he thinks. Is fiery at the table, but always shakes your hand after. Just a great guy, and that's going to be a huge match. Oli's favored. I know Brad's always gone into these lightweight super matches a little bit light, coming in at 148, 150, 152. Whenever I've pulled him, he's been a little bit lighter than me. So my criticism on him is he should gain weight. So I think he has, and the catch weight for this super match is 165 because I believe Oli can get up to 175, 180. So I think they're meeting at 165. Again, Oli's favored, but Brad Wade is a funny guy. He's the more money or the bigger the tournament, the better he usually does. So it wouldn't surprise me if he wins. He's got the hand and speed to kind of contain Olivier's explosiveness on the go. And like I said, Olivier, anyone who follows that kid, he beat up on Alan Ford. And then when Alan Ford caught him on the second time, it was still a war. This is right-handed against 100. At the time, Oli was 165, Alan was 200. This was in a cash tournament in Montreal maybe 2 years ago. So legitimate kid, another great super match. John Terry from Ontario, who's another up-and-coming. I think he just won Nationals a couple weeks ago. He's supposed to be pulling Alan Goyer, who's another good, strong right-handed middleweight from Quebec. Mm-hmm. They've had this planned out for a couple months. And what sometimes happens in the sport is not last night, but the night before, or he canceled. After asking John to get down to 176 because John could walk around at 185. So John came down to 176, been training for Alan. There's cash on all these matches. All these matches have cash riding on them from the promoter giving money to the winner. So, and then 2 days before it cancels. And so Abby had to rush around trying to find a replacement. I believe he did in Jocelyn Berard from a small town in Quebec, a veteran puller. Again, he'll be an underdog, but
I like the way Avi's. I don't know who a lot of these guys are that we're talking about, but no, I do like the way that Avi is promoting his event.
Yeah,
and the way that he builds it up to, he makes it sound like you got to watch this. It's one of the most important things in arm wrestling, and in some cases at the moment it could be with some of the headliners on the show. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the results and maybe unpacking this a little bit after the event's over.
Yeah, this potentially, with the exception of Nationals, of course, this potentially could easily be the biggest tournament in Canada this year. Because of the super, he gives away crazy awards. He gives away cash. He does a lot of cool things that I think a promoter does, and he really, really, like you said, he sells the buzz. He's months ahead leading up. He's a good puller, but he's an excellent or has a potential to be an excellent promoter, and he seems to have the desire and passion to do so. I think it's his 4th event, and each one seems to be building momentum.
Yeah.
So more power to him.
And we got a lot of stuff going on, like in the West. In the West, we have the Fit to Fight arm wrestling league that Kane Hemsing runs. So we've got the he's gonna kill me. Perry's league, Battle Zone. There it is. Yeah. Battle Zone. So Perry's got his Battle Zone league, and those guys are going strong. There's lots of stuff going on in the West. For Canadian arm wrestling, we've also got Mark Gay keeps calling me out. He, I don't get it. I've got Chris Boschman calling me out again in the BC. I've got Mark calling me out in Alberta, and just had the opportunity at Nationals, and never ran into me. He got beat by Justin and Slater, I believe. So I mean, they had I was talking to the president of the Alberta Arm Wrestling Association, and he said, "Yeah, Mark wants to have a match with you still." And if it was a month ago, I'd be maybe interested, but I mean, Mark's coming off of a pretty devastating defeat, and I think if it made sense financially, maybe I'd go out there. But until that happens, he's got maybe a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, I'd have to think so. I mean, he did okay at Wall for a while. I don't know that much about him. I just know that in the present time, we see a lot of, due to social media, we see a lot of people haphazardly challenging people that are maybe a tier or two above. Again, not the end of the world. Makes for entertaining chatter, but we see these things.
Yeah,
I've been a victim of it. But Chris Beauchemin, years ago, I had to block him. He would send me 7, 8 links, videos, training videos. He'd send me these idiotic videos of him squawking and doing these weird routines with trying to be colorful or something. And I'm like, dude, see you later. Like, you have no credibility, and these are just ridiculous.
I should tell you the Chris Beauchemin story, and all of our viewers the Chris Beauchemin story, and how this all kind of happened. And this guy, I mean, to his credit, I mean, he's got guts. He, just some random dude started talking shit up to me on social media years and years ago. And he said he was coming to get me and all this stuff. Well, I got a phone call one day, and I said, there's a couple of guys here in town, and they have an arm wrestling table set up on a street corner. Like, he literally drove from Thunder Bay, Ontario to Portage la Prairie, Manitoba, set up a table on a street corner at a park, and started talking shit about Brian Espy to everyone that passed by, until eventually somebody phoned me and said, "You better get down here."
I like that. I like that.
It was good. I went down there and I beat him about 75 times each arm, and then he went home. But
I like it.
And then he wrote some songs about it.
Yeah, that's right.
On YouTube, and but it continued. I mean, I ended up actually having a super match with him in Edmonton, and he showed up at Nationals one year in Vancouver, and he actually got silver to me, which, I mean, the guy's not. He's an arm wrestler. Like, he's made great progress. And now we're talking again, but I put a price tag on it if he wants it again.
For sure.
I mean, I don't gain status by beating someone that I've beat 50 times before and has honestly never slowed me down. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, rocky moments are special. Not everybody gets one.
I also think that anyone can call out any human being. I mean, it's all cool. There's nothing wrong, malicious. One person cannot call out any other human being on earth. There's nothing wrong with it. But someone of your status with world titles and all this, and arguably you got to pay. You got to pay. Just the chance to set up with you and to see what's what, he has to pay. The privilege to have that opportunity, especially for a guy like that, you have to pay.
I'm holding the rung for the right arm as far as the the bottom rung and wall, but it's you don't just get to pull whoever you want to pull. That's just not how it works. Like, I mean, there's the old adage that, I would fight, pay me $10 million. I'll get in the ring with Mike Tyson. Well, yeah, but you got to earn that. You don't just get to do that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. And we're in a world now where everyone has a voice and they choose to use that in various ways.
Here's a question for you. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, I was going to say, like, what comes to mind is when Brendan beat CJ at the wall event, and he called out the world. Like, he was after Todd Hutchings, he was after RVJ, and I mean, he's got guts. But when a call out's done properly, it needs to be a little bit focused on a certain specific attainable goal.
Yeah, he's a good kid. His passion is big. His tactics and technique and some of his more refined abilities are good. He just still lacks brute elite pro.
That's all good.
It's all good. But I agree that I don't know. But that's him just trying a way for him to get his name out there. He's just marketing himself. The question I want to ask you is, a lot of our listeners probably don't know, but you before arm wrestling, you were an MMA fighter. Hypothetically, Mike Tyson in his prime, would you have gone in the ring with him for $100? Boxing ring?
$100?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
For $100?
Yeah, I want to make the point. My point being, do you think does the upside and no, obviously it could be zero money. It's no, I don't want it to be like a financial incentive. Just, would you go in the ring with Mike Tyson in his prime to see what you can do, or not? For number one, to see what can be done, or number two, just sheer notoriety.
I will tell you a story, and this story is absolutely true. Now, it's not Mike Tyson, but when I fought my first fight in Winnipeg, and I beat a locally famous kickboxer, I was supposed to take my head off.
Was it kickboxing, or were you allowed to do? Were you allowed to
martial arts?
Okay, it was mixed martial arts.
I could have taken him down.
Okay.
The fight was stopped at 16 seconds because, I mean, I beat the shit out of the guy. Like, he was throwing kicks and I was countering with overhand rights, and my hands were good. To go into a Mike Tyson world where, you're all of a sudden taking all those other tools away. Yeah. Would I have done it? Probably, because, I mean, who gets that opportunity, right?
Exactly.
It's like saying, you want to arm wrestle John Berzink? You got no name, like 5 years ago. Hell yeah, for sure. Yeah. But there's some definite more realistic health consequences.
John's not gonna concuss you. Yeah.
But I will tell you this: when Brock Lesnar was first coming into mixed martial arts, and for those that don't know, he lives about 3.5, 4 hours away from where I am.
Minnesota, yeah.
My name
North Dakota, yeah.
No, he's in Saskatchewan. He's just over the border in Saskatchewan. He's in Canada.
Okay.
And I mean, his land spans, but it's he's a farmer now.
Yeah.
But my name was presented to him as an option for his first mixed martial arts opponent. And this was before the UFC. He fought outside the UFC one time. He fought in some weird stadium show that was in the States somewhere, and he fought. I was out there. He said Ryan doesn't have a big enough name, so no. And then he said he would. He ended up fighting a 7-foot tall Korean guy, but I was in the running to be Brock's first opponent, and
nice.
Yeah, that would have been fun and devastating, and I don't know how it would have ended up, but
were you better standing up, or were you better grappling?
I had confidence in my stand-up, but my submissions are quite good, or they were. I mean, I'm out of practice a little bit.
Yeah.
But I thought that I had a lot of faith in my stand-up fighting.
Gotcha.
But after that fight, my wife, who's now my ex-wife, but was 9 months pregnant at the time, and she said, "You're never doing that again."
Yeah.
And I didn't. I never did it again. That was it.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was. I don't know. To answer your question, I suppose I would have. I mean, Eddie Blake phoned me up. Eddie Blake was a 400-pound football player who used to fight in these 4 1-minute round boxing matches. And he would call me once a week and say, when are we going to fight? I'd say, I want $5,000. And I said, that's it. I said, you commit to that and I'll fight. Mm-hmm. And it was going to be a boxing match. And it never materialized, and we never had it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So back
throughout just one more question. Throughout your arm wrestling career, 2004, 2005. I don't know if you had a peak or you're still peaking, but I know you won worlds in 2005, and I believe you won in 2004 as well. At any point, did you decide go back to MMA for money reasons?
Well, there wasn't any at the time. So, I mean, this was when I was fighting, it was pre The Ultimate Fighter.
Right. Okay.
So it was kind of when I was training and kind of at the peak of that thing, The Ultimate Fighter started to happen. Okay. And there were some guys that, I could have ran into, like Krzysztof Szynski, if you recall him. He's a fighter out of Winnipeg. Got quite famous in the UFC. I mean, I was at his first fight, was in a barn in Ada, Minnesota. Like, it was, there wasn't quite the venues they have today, and the money wasn't there either.
Right.
So I enjoyed it, but yeah, it's nerve-wracking too.
Yeah. One thing I say about arm wrestling, I mean, one-on-one, arguably a combat sport. But I mean, even the worst injury we can, it's nothing compared to a concussion or losing your mental faculties later on in life. That's just brutal stuff.
Yeah. And I've seen it happen with a lot of amateur fighters, fighting local events and then fighting more local events the next weekend. No commission, no doctor.
No.
Sometimes it was on a reserve where they don't have to sanction anything. And